So hello all my lovely people out there. Star Wars 8 is finally here and we're going to go over everything about it. So in this video I'm probably going to cover a lot of different stuff, from new characters, original characters, plot lines, the movie as a whole, things I like, things that didn't work for me. It's going to be a pretty chill video, so sit back and enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe, comment if you have anything to talk about. I'll be more than happy to go over things. If you know me and want to reach out to me, definitely do that. I can talk about Star Wars all day. So we're going to go through some plot points. Here's a list of everything that I'll be talking about in this video. These things will all be covered, and some will be more brief than others, but I will definitely hit all of them, and we'll make it a pretty chill video. Do want to warn you, if you haven't seen Star Wars The Last Jedi, there are a ton of spoilers in this video, so make sure you watch the movie first before watching this video. Let's get started. So my initial thoughts on The Last Jedi, which we'll talk about first, I absolutely loved it. Like, I went in with no expectations, I knew nothing about anything, didn't know any spoilers, nothing was leaked, I saw no clips on like talk shows, interviews, I saw nothing. I just saw the trailer. We had a few theories formed, like at the end of the trailer when Kylo reaches his hand out for Rey, or when Luke says it's time for the Jedi to end. Like, I saw the pretty basic stuff, but that was about it. And going into the movie with no expectations or already preset ideas was so great, and I really, really think that it made a difference in viewing it. I laughed so much. I thought it was such a funny movie for such a dark movie too. And I mean, that's usually the tradition in Star Wars movies. The second one is always the deeper and the not necessarily dark and scary, but definitely things go downhill, the second one. Which things did. For a general overview, the Resistance didn't do so well. They lost a lot of people, they lost a lot of fuel in their ship. That's never happened in a Star Wars movie before. So that was pretty interesting to see. Honestly, it was a good sequel though. And I think coming off of The Force Awakens, which is very much so like A New Hope, we needed something different and something that really took the concept of Star Wars nowadays, with all the new gadgets and electronics and technology in the film industry, and really used that to its advantage and made it such a better movie and expanded it. Expanded the story, expanded multiple plot lines, introduced new characters. I thought it was great, and it was so action-packed right from the very beginning. You have the big fight in the space, so obviously space is Star Wars. But I think it was a great way to open the movie. The movie was great. I loved it. Overall, I think the movie kept on track. I think it was very dark. It was very, now I know that I put the red in the title. I think it deserved the red. It was pretty intense. I think that's a big word to describe the movie as a whole. It was intense. And I think one problem after another, it kept occurring. And you kept thinking, okay, maybe this is the end, or maybe, oh, this is it. No. And it got worse and worse, and I was like, oh my gosh. And so many characters I didn't expect to be like super, killer, like really wowed me. We'll get to characters later on, but overall, it was very deep, it was very climactic, I think it's a good word to use, and just, like I said, intense. I think that's like the best word to describe this movie. So the planets and locations in Star Wars. We were introduced to 3 new planets. We were introduced to Acto, I hope I'm pronouncing these right, the island, which Lucas found on in the very beginning. Canto Bight, where the cantina almost like Coruscant vibes were found. So that was more like a bar, New York City-esque. And Crate. Crate was at the end with the red salt, which I thought was super cool, but we'll get there. The first planet we cover is Acto, and that is where Luke ends up, and the end of Force Awakens, where he decides to go and hide, and Rey ends up finding him at the end of Force Awakens. We start here with Luke and Rey. They are there. It's a pretty interesting island. I liked all the creatures that were on it. Of course, oh my god, we'll get to them later. I love them. I like the little caretakers as well. I thought they were so funny. Especially the part, we'll cover this, but the part where they're like wheeling the little barrel thing, and when Rey like it hits the rock, it like crushes them, and they're like, what the heck? So that was kind of funny. I did like the island's vibes. I liked the fact that the Jedi texts were there, and that's kind of like the peak of it, like at the top where there was the texts and the temple and like where the training for Rey took place. But you also have at the bottom of the island the darkness and the hole that we see Rey go into later on. Again, cover that later. I loved that. And I loved having one at the top, you know, the good, and the bad at the bottom. So it really had the balance of the Force, which was a big thing in this movie, having darkness and light together, which Rey demonstrated a lot of. Canto Bight was a very, very cool planet. I actually liked it a lot. I know some Star Wars fans didn't really like that as much, but I really liked it. I liked Coruscant in the prequels. That was one of my favorite planets, and so sad they blew it up in Force Awakens. Was not happy about that. But I do think that it was a great planet, especially to find the Master Codebreaker. I think that's the type of planet you'd find it on, and it was pretty interesting how Rose, a new character, didn't exactly like it, didn't like it at all. Finn's like, what's there not to like about it? And then you see how terrible the people were. Now, the people on the planet were not great. The planet itself, I liked, nothing wrong with it. I thought it was a great expansion into the universe, as were the other planets. Crate actually was my favorite planet, I think, out of the three. I think that one was pretty sick and had a really great battle take place there. I was all for it, and I loved the red salt. But I also liked how before we identified it was red salt, I forget who it was, but footprints took place, and someone, you know, looked at it and said, oh, it's salt. So they identified that right off the bat. It wasn't blood, wasn't anything crazy, it was salt. That was cool. I loved that. I loved the battle that took place there. Every time a ship went by, the red salt would go everywhere. And I was like, whoa, that's so cool. Again, and the reason why they put the red in the title, I feel like, because something else I added to the red. So the original characters in The Last Jedi really made it feel like a Star Wars movie, in my opinion. I loved Luke and Leia in this. I thought they were so great. And spoiler alert, I loved Yoda in this. What a surprise! We'll talk about him later on, but whoa. Did not expect him. Was super happy, big audience reaction. When Yoda was there, they panned, and it was like his face, the back of his head. It was like, oh my god, yes! It was so great. Loved it, loved it, loved it. I think the new characters brought a sense of the old trilogy into this, and really connected it still. I mean, we had that with Han and Leia. Look at the end of Force Awakens, last time we saw it. But I think it was just different this time. And I think Luke played a bigger role in this, obviously. Leia played a great role in this. I will cover her later. I think they were just so powerful, and they really brought a ton of nuances and knowledge to the old films into this. And I think it really balanced out the movie, making it feel like it was a Star Wars movie. So a lot of fans didn't like the fact that they were different in it. And of course they were different, because they're not the same people they were, you know, in A New Hope, Empire, and Jedi. So I don't expect them to be the same. But you can't go into the movie thinking that they are the same people and they're going to be the same people, because they're not. So I didn't have that expectation, so I really didn't think they were much different. But I did like their characters a lot. So we were also introduced to new characters in this movie, which we had 3 brand new characters created by Ryan in this movie. We had Rose Tico, Vice Admiral Holdo, and DJ. So starting with Rose, we're going to cover her more later on, because I have a few points I want to bring up about her. But I thought she was okay. I think her chemistry with Finn was definitely there. And I think she brought a little mix of ethnicity into Star Wars, which was totally fine. You know, Finn is a different ethnicity too, and he's great in Star Wars. I love Finn. But another person in there to say, hey, we're a mix of people, and that's totally fine, and I love that about Star Wars. I thought DJ's character worked very well in The Last Jedi. I thought he was pretty sketchy off the bat, not gonna lie. I was like, who is this guy? I wasn't sure if he was good, if he was bad, but he kind of stayed neutral. And it didn't really make sense at first, but in the end, when he got busted and then told the First Order on Finn and Rose, it was like, oh, that's why he was neutral, because he would turn them in. And he said that, like, he wasn't on, one side or the other. He's just there and he'll help them. Well, you gotta know going into that if something were to happen, he could change. But yeah, he was really great. Vice Admiral Holdo by Laura Dern. I really liked her character. Another female in the galaxy. And I thought there was nothing wrong with her. I think in the beginning, you're like a little, she's not like Leia, and their strategies for going about, what they were going to do with the ship running out of fuel were different. And Poe did not like that at all. Poe, I just want to explode things and, make fly ships. And she's like, okay, flyboy, like, chill out. But I thought it worked. I thought she was a great asset to the Resistance, and she was a great leader. Plus, I loved the way she sacrificed herself. And that whole scene, when she went into the ship and it just went dead silent. Like, how artistic was that? Oh my gosh. You see all the ships exploding and everything? That was so sick. And then you hear the boom come out of it, and I was like, whoa. Like, I have an appreciation for cinematography, and that was like right up there. It was really good. So we're going to talk about characters now. Just a brief summary of what I thought about them all. We're going to go in order. So these are my favorite characters in order and what I thought of them in the movie. First off, Kylo Ren. He is my favorite. I love Kylo. Like, ask anybody, they're like, who's your favorite character? It's Kylo. It's all the way Kylo. So, what I like about Kylo isn't the fact that he's like, super cute and has like the hair and the butt, whatever. He's good looking. We can all agree on that. What I like about him in this movie is he's not the whiny Darth Vader wannabe guy. And he's very confused and conflicted and doesn't know what to do. He senses something with Rey, not sure what that is. And overall, I think that was great towards his character. And I have a new appreciation for Kylo Ren now. And I know, I'm so excited to see where he goes. Because now that Luke died, we'll cover that later, he's the only one out of everybody with Skywalker in him. Not direct Skywalker because, it's Han and Leia. But Leia has the Force. Leia's a Skywalker. And that was his mom. So he has it in him. And I always believe, and it's true, that the Star Wars franchise revolves around the Skywalker family. Well, he's the only Skywalker left. And I think at this point, although Rey is the female and she's the one we're most intrigued about because she has the Force, Kylo has the Force. And I think he's a Skywalker. And the movie's going to kind of revolve around him. At least I hope in 9. I think I just want to see where he goes, and I think he was so great. Adam Driver did an incredible job as Kylo Ren in this. He was so determined and so many emotions going on, with Rey, and then he sees Luke, and when he's on the crate, and Luke walks out onto the snow. It's like, fire every gun at that man, and he's so aggravated. But he also killed Snoke, so he's not bad. I don't believe he's bad. I believe he thinks he's right. And that's a lot of cases with evil characters in movies. I really loved the scenes with Rey and Kylo. I thought they were so intense. The connections that they had throughout the movie. What was that? That was like Force we had never covered before. And I think it was a great new type of Force to be introduced in Star Wars. Rey. Okay. Rey is like girl power. I freaking love her. She is credible. She's so good. And Daisy Ridley does such a great job portraying Rey. Rey is so determined. I think she's motivated. I think she just wants to learn the Force. And she's relentless with Luke, saying, teach me. Like, I will not fail you. She is so the same way Luke was towards Yoda. Saying, I am ready. I want to learn the Force. I want you to come back with me to help us in the Resistance. She is trying to get Luke to come back. And he's like, totally no. Totally denying it, totally shutting down every conversation, every way she tries to get him to come back, he won't. And I think that's just goes to show her character in this and how she doesn't take no for an answer. She is freaking tough. She is smart. She's witty. She knows what she's doing. And just when you think she might turn, or even Kylo might turn, they don't. And it's so like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Rey's good. She's like the connection she had with Kylo for that scene where she's at the end of the Millennium Falcon about to get on, and she looks and she sees him, and she goes up and door shuts. Like, you know, she's on her side. She won't kill the Jedi, even though Kylo killed Snoke. She won't kill the Jedi. Luke was a great character in this film, and a pretty big character too. We learned the real story about what happened to him, the whole Knights of Ren with Kylo turning to the dark side, and he couldn't save him. And I think that was very important in this, seeing Luke, you know, go through the emotions of, I'm sad I failed my sister, you know, as her son, and I let him go to the dark side. And he has a lot going on in his head. And I think many, like I said before, many Star Wars fans went in saying, oh, it's not the same Luke. He's not the original trilogy Luke. Well, he's not going to be. Like, he went through a lot of things. In the time between Return of the Jedi and now Force Awakens, and, well, this even, because he's more featured in this, that he isn't the same Luke. And he's more of the Yoda. Now he's, like, isolated on this planet, like Yoda did after the prequels, after, you know, Anakin turned, went away, needed to be by himself, and they become a little different. You know, Yoda wasn't the same fighting Jedi he was in the prequels when Luke met him on Dagobah. Like, he was kind of funny, kind of weird, and that's how Luke was in this. He was very odd, I guess you could say. He wasn't the same, and I think that's okay. Like, I totally didn't think of it as a problem in The Last Jedi. I loved Luke's character. I loved the scene when everyone shot Luke and they're firing at him on Crate, and he just comes out. Oh my gosh, I was like jaw drop clapping. That was like the best. And he was so awesome. Like, that's Luke. That's Luke Skywalker. That's iconic character in movie history, and that's him. Like, that was really, really cool. Now, of course, at the end, he died. But I didn't really like that. If I'm being honest, I didn't like how he died. I liked the symbolism of seeing the two suns as he died, because that's how he started his journey in A New Hope. But I didn't like the fact that I wasn't sure if he died. I was like, wait, where is he going? Whereas Han Solo, though it was devastating and I bawled my eyes out, I knew he died. And he was a big character in the original trilogy, and he died, and it was a big death. And I think Luke, being even more important than Han Solo, if he were to die, if he did die, I think he died, deserved a better death. Princess Leia in this, well, I should say General Leia, was so good, and she's so funny, and I knew it was her last time being in a Star Wars film going into this, but it was so sad. And, like, not even her character was like bomb, but just knowing it was her last time in a Star Wars movie was more emotional, I think. I think she was, again, funny. I think she had a lot of comedy. Her and Poe, again, with the whole flyboy calling him, you know, you can't just go and explode things and expect things to get done. Like, she was totally strict with him, and, you know, showed him his place in this, in the Resistance. And I think she was the boss. Like, she was in charge, she was general, and she took commands, and she led the whole Resistance to, I mean, I don't want to say they succeeded in the end, because there's only a handful of them left, but she did do what's right, and I think she came out pretty successful. Poe was a very interesting character in this, and I loved him. I think he got way more airtime in this movie compared to The Force Awakens, but I think he was better in this movie. Like, right off the bat, he's so funny with General Hux, and the little bickering right in the beginning of Star Wars. That was great. That was a great way to open it. And I think Oscar Isaac is a very talented actor, and he did a lot with Poe. And I think Poe's mentality changed a lot through The Last Jedi, because originally, again, he wanted to explode, bomb things, like totally just, let's just fire at it and be done. No, like even Admiral Holdo had some conflict between them. He had to learn, though, that, you know, you have to go about things a certain way. I think he definitely was a character who changed probably the most in this, if not one of the characters who changed the most through The Last Jedi. So General Hux in Last Jedi was one of my favorite characters. I mean, I love them all. He wasn't always at my top of my list, but he was somebody that I was always excited to watch. I think the chemistry between him and Kylo Ren is so funny. They're like brothers, like bickering over each other. And they're both bad. They both want the same things, but they both want different ways going about it. And I think that's so funny how Kylo's just like, destroy, kill, you know, whatever. And Hux is like, okay, and very like, okay, this guy's a little crazy. So that was pretty funny to watch. And obviously Kylo has more power than Hux, so it's funny when Kylo doesn't, or Hux doesn't like get his way or does, or executes what he wants to do because of Kylo being like, no, wait, we're not doing that. So that's kind of funny. So Finn is a character I love so much, but I didn't think this showcased him enough. And I think he was with Rose a lot of the time, and I wish he was in it more. I loved their plot line. I think it was great. But I think it was too far away from the main stuff that was happening. And I wish he was with Rey more. I loved John Boyega and Daisy Ridley scenes together in The Force Awakens. I thought they had great chemistry. And I think he still has something for Rey. I think at the end of the movie you see something, when they hug, something was there. And they didn't see each other the whole movie. Rose obviously likes Finn, but like I don't think he likes her. I think he likes Rey. And that's pretty much all I have to say about Finn. I think Finn was better in The Force Awakens than he was in this. But that's not taking away John Boyega's acting, because John Boyega did a great job portraying Finn. I just wish Ryan wrote Finn in more with the main core group, like the Poe, Rey, Kylo, Luke, Leia, rather than being like a little more off than everybody else. So Rose, she's at the bottom of my favorites. It's not that I didn't like her, I just didn't like the fact how she stepped into Star Wars and then went right into like a battle. I think it was a little too not realistic. And I think, you know, I get it, just losing your sister was very tough. I like how she had the necklace. I think that was cute. I also think that she worked well with Finn. She kissed him. She likes him. That's like, I think that's... And she sacrificed herself for him at the end. I thought Finn was going. I got so scared. Oh my god, I was going to cry. I was already crying. I had tears going. I was like, that's it for Finn. Then she's like, nope. Flung right, got him out of the way. And that was cute. I mean, I think that was nice of her. I didn't dislike her character, but I definitely think out of all the characters, she wasn't someone I was super excited to see on the screen. So now the creatures in Star Wars, there were so many of them in this film that are brand new. And I love them all. So, porks! Oh my god, porks are the cutest things. Like, I loved Ewoks. I was never, like, one of those Star Wars fans that were like, no, they're too cute. We can't have them in Star Wars. I love them. They're like little teddy bears. I'm like, and they have little cute language. I don't even know what the language was, but it was really cute. And porks did the same thing for me. The way they, like, awked and Chewie loved them. He was like, eat them. And the one's like, you know, please don't eat me. And then it got closer and zoomed in more, and I was like, oh my god, my heart. They're so cute, and I think they were so great for living on the island with Luke. Like, that totally, it made it a realistic island. And I like how a few times they pan to them, like, you know, baby porks up in the nest, or they just be sitting around or waddling, because they're like penguin birds. It was like the cutest thing. Ugh, I love them. I can't talk enough about them. So the crystal critters, I thought they were like really cool, and I like the way they were designed. And obviously it's not real, but I watched a bunch of behind the scenes videos, and they had like dogs using and trying them out. They had like puppets ones. They had a bunch of different types and ways of going about it. So that was pretty cool. I liked that. That was pretty interesting. And I thought they looked cool. They sounded cool when they ran. You heard the glass, like, you know. That was so interesting, and I thought that was so smart of Ryan to incorporate a brand new type of character. Like, not even a real animal, like it wasn't really an animal, it was like glass. So it was super cool, and I really enjoyed them on Crate. So I just wanted to mention these again, because I think they're so funny. The caretaker is on Acto. Like, they're the little frog animals? I don't even know, but they're, again, that one scene when they're wheeling the barrel down and the Rock just knocks it out and they get so pissed. It is so funny. Like, My dad, he was like hysterically laughing because it was good. It was really good, and I really think that they made sense on the island. Like it was just, it worked. I liked it. So I just really wanted to quickly mention Yoda again, and we're going to talk a little bit about him, but it was such a surprise seeing him. Now Yoda was always one of my favorite characters, and I'm shorter, so I always like related to him, you know, being short yet spunky. He was great in this. I thought he played a very important role, talking to Luke and saying, you know, thought about the texts. They're old, like page turners they or not, he said something like that. I thought that was so funny. But he burned them down. He's like, it's not about that, you know? That's the past, that's the old way of learning almost. And I think him and Luke were a great bond. And again, knowing that Luke is the same type of character Yoda was, you know, executing off to an island away from society. A little weirder, a little funnier, you know, not living the same lifestyle that they did. They're very much the same character. So, I think Yoda was fantastic in this. I loved how they played Yoda's theme in the background. Oh, it melted my heart. Plus, I like the fact that it was old Yoda, like puppet Yoda, not prequel Yoda. That was CGI'd and very, the old wise Yoda. I don't know. It just wasn't the same in the prequels. I loved Yoda in the prequels, but I think for this movie, it was great having the old puppet Yoda. And Frank Oz played him, so that was great. Snoke. So the deal with Snoke, I didn't like the fact that we had no idea who he was. We didn't get any storyline with where he came from, who he was. I didn't like that. I wanted to know who he was or where he came from, if he was, and everyone said maybe it's a reincarnation of Palpatine, Darth Plagueis. That was like a big theory all over everywhere. And we didn't find that out. And although I didn't really love his character, so I'm glad he was killed off, I think he was such a mysterious character that I would have loved to see who he was and what role he had in finding Kylo Ren and bringing him to the dark side. We never really covered that. They never touched on that. I hope they do a 9. So some of the connections that I just wanted to quickly point out. I think Rey and Kylo are brother and sister. I do. And I don't believe for a second that Kylo knows Rey's parents were nobodies. No. Like, that is not true. That can't be true. Kylo, 1, how do you know that? And 2, you and Rey have a super strong connection. I just think you both have the Force. You both want to be together. You're both powerful together. When they both fought in that scene after Snoke was killed, that was totally awesome. And I wish that something's between them that we find out as audience members, because I think it would work so well in Star Wars. Rose and Finn obviously have chemistry as well, but I think there's definitely a love triangle between Rose, Rey, and Finn. I think Finn likes Rey, but Rose likes Finn. I wonder where that's going to go in 9. I hope that's not a big part of it, because that shouldn't be. Star Wars isn't about romance as much as it is about family. But I don't like Finn and Rose together. I don't really ship that. I want Rey and Kylo together, but I also want them to be brother and sister. So I have mixed feelings about that. But I do think they have the connection. They both have the Force. They're both powerful. They're both smart. I think they can be related. Some of the moments I quickly wanted to bring up that I fell in love with, and that the audience did too. These were big audience reaction scenes. When Luke went on the Millennium Falcon and he looked around and he saw R2 with activating Princess Leia's hologram, I thought that was so cute. And that was a big, aw moment. And it was just very old-timey, because you look back at the scenes when him and Han Solo and Leia would fly around the galaxy in the Millennium Falcon, and it was super cute. And I loved that scene a lot. The end fight on Crate, I mentioned that before, but I loved that. I thought it was so artistic with the red salt, and all the Resistance fighters were in a line, like they were all going, and the AT-AT walkers were all like, coming at them, and then Kylo and Hux were up there, like overseeing the whole thing. And got the Resistance back in like the big covered, I don't even know what that thing was, but it was super cool. And it was a lot like Hoth. in the regards to it being snowy and just the atmosphere of it. Because Hoth also happened in the second movie in the trilogy. So this is kind of reminiscing of that. Plus, I like the fact that we didn't know Luke was not really there. And that was such a surprise when, Kylo just goes right through him and he didn't die. We're like, what? Like, what? And then he puts it through him. Ghost. You're a ghost, Luke. Plus, I don't know if you guys caught this. When Luke walked, he didn't leave red salt prints. Like, that was... Which I didn't realize that until after reading about that. I was like, whoa. Like, that is so cool. How did you not pick up on that, Caroline? Like, what the heck? So, that was really cool. And I loved that addition to the Force. Like, being there in spirit, but not really physically being there. And plus the scene with him and Leia at the end. No one's ever truly gone. And they hold hands, and he kisses her head. That was so emotional. I got very emotional on that. I cried a lot through this, I'm not going to lie. I was either bawling, my jaw was dropped, or I was hysterically laughing. It was, great. So, again, with Luke's death, I didn't really like it. I didn't like it for this reason. With Luke being such an iconic character, I didn't like the fact where I left the theater wondering if he died. And that shouldn't have happened. I should have known it was a death, and that was it. And obviously Jedi, they come back as, Force ghosts. They're not really gone, but they're, dead. They're not really there, but it's weird. I wish I knew why he died, first of all, because they didn't really cover if it was because it took too much energy, being the hologram, not really the hologram, like a ghost, on Crate, or if it was just tired or old, or we didn't really know. He just disappeared. I did like it with the two suns. I thought that was really cute, and again, starting his journey looking at the suns, and then ending his journey looking at the suns. Very creative, and disappeared, and the cloak, flew away. That was really cute. I liked that, I will say, but I just wish his death was more known if it was a death. The scene with Rey, Kylo, and Snoke. I think that and the Millennium Falcon scene were my two favorite scenes. I loved how it was very reminiscing of Darth Vader taking Luke to see Palpatine the Sith in Return of the Jedi. Just like that. The Red Guards were all there, a big red room. Again, bringing the red into Star Wars and the title and everything. And I thought it was so interesting. Snoke was trying to get her to the dark side, and Kylo didn't really say anything. Snoke had a Rey's lightsaber. Snoke wanted Kylo to kill her, and Kylo's like, nope, and sliced through Snoke. Gone. Then, Kylo and Rey both what happened? They were both confused as to why Kylo did that. Kylo didn't even know why he did that. But once all the guards were no, with their weird sword things that were those are very cool. They fought back to back. So they were teamed up against each other. A dark side, a dark side Force user and a light side Force user team up together. And that was first time in Star Wars ever. I loved that scene. And at the end, he was let's just clear the past. Kill the past. And, he killed Snoke. He wants her to kill the Jedi, and they can go together. So that's why I'm saying he's not really bad, because he killed Snoke. I mean, obviously if you kill somebody, you're not good. But I think they just think they're right. And in the end, I think that scene was so great and so just very cool to watch. I love all the red. It was just very artistically well done. So the last scene that really was memorable to me and made me very curious was the scene where Rey looked down the hole to the dark side of Acto. This, again, going back to the light being at the top of the island and the darkening at the lowest point. Going into the hole, the mirrors, she had 5 of her, not 5 of her, more 1,000,000 of her behind her. They were all doing the same reflection thing. Then she wanted to see her parents, and you see this figure come behind the sheet of ice or glass, and you don't know who it is, but it was her. And it's almost like she knew the only person she could rely on wasn't her parents, it was her. And that was super artistic of Ryan to write in the story. Another little thing I wanted to point out that wasn't like my top favorite moments, but a moment that really showed Kylo as a person was when he was flying the ship in the beginning, and he was gonna shoot Princess Leia, and he didn't. He couldn't bring himself to that. Another reason why I know he's not bad, because if he was bad and pure evil, he would have been like, no, bye mom, and shoot it. Shot it. I don't know what I just said. Shot it. He wouldn't have shot it. Okay. But it did end up getting shot. Leia died. She was in a coma. This kind of was weird. Didn't like this part that much. Flown through space, and then she used the Force. That was cool. Didn't like how she was just floating in space. Did like how she used the Force. First time we see Leia use the Force through the whole thing, because we find out Return of the Jedi, you know, the Force is strong in my family. I have it, my father has it, my sister has it. We've never seen Leia use it, and she just did. And that was like, yes, that was really, really cool. And I'm glad that was put in there because it made sense. Again, didn't like her floating through space, but I think it worked by demonstrating she used the Force. Like that part of it. Overall, I think it was a great, great movie with a lot of great moments, a great character, ideas and development. Definitely, again, taking what we knew in Force Awakens and totally expanding it to like new areas of the galaxy. And I thought that was very, very creative of Rian Johnson. I think artistically he did a better job with it. It was a beautifully shot movie. I think all the scenes in it really were created well. The dialogue was written well. And we'll see what JJ does in 9 now. You know, we may find that he wants to reveal Rey's parents as people Rian didn't want to reveal as. Or we'll see what he wants to change. My thoughts, I hope that Kylo isn't bad, but I also don't want him to be good. I don't really know where I want him to be. I want him and Rey to be siblings. I would like that. I want to know where Snoke came from. That would be great to know. Want to know Rey's parents. Would like to find that out. Because I don't believe they're nobodies. If they're so nobodies, then why did they get like this high-tech ship and like fly away and leave her there? Like I don't believe that. Plus, if they were nobodies, how'd they have the Force? Whatever. The end of the movie with the kid leaving off with the grabbing the broom with the Force and sweeping. Wonder where he's gonna end up in the next movie. And that's pretty much my thoughts about 9. I hope that it's great as 8, because 8 was absolutely fantastic. I loved it. Here's my ranking of all of the movies. My first is Revenge of the Sith. I think that's my favorite movie, and that's been my favorite movie for a long time. And last is Phantom Menace. But The Last Jedi is definitely my second favorite now. And I really loved it, and I think it was a great, great movie. And very well written, well directed. Every character grew a lot since The Force Awakens, and I'm very excited to see where 9 takes it. If you like this review, make sure you like it. Always comment down below. You know, I would love to hear what you guys think about Star Wars. If you have any thoughts, we can definitely have a conversation about it. I can talk about Star Wars all day. I think it's a great, great movie. My favorite movies ever. So I hope you guys like this review. Subscribe if you'd like. And I'll see you guys later. Bye!